What's up YouTube, Silver Dragons here, and in this video I'm going to talk about the top 4 ways to invest in silver. So let's do it! Thank you so much for watching my video. I sincerely appreciate it. If you want to learn more about investing in precious metals, or if you just want to watch awesome videos about gold and silver, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Alright, so we're talking about the top 4 ways to invest in silver. And after I go over those top 4 different ways, I'll talk about buying physical silver versus buying paper silver products, because there is a big difference. So I'll touch on that at the end of the video. But first off, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just another dude here on YouTube. So take this video for what it is. But I'm going to give you my best understanding of the top 4 different ways you can actually be investing in silver. Okay, so let's get to number 4. And this is going to be futures and options contracts. Now, I'll just say right out the gate, I do not have a lot of experience with this, but what I do know is that when you buy futures or options, it's typically high risk, high reward. Now, one thing about futures is you can buy other commodities, not just silver, obviously, right? So the futures market's huge. You got oil, soybeans, lumber, gold, right? Lots of commodities you can buy on the futures market. Basically, you're buying a contract to purchase a certain commodity at a specific date. And based on the price of that commodity over the course of that time, you can either make money or lose money. Now, one thing you need to be aware of is that when you're buying futures contracts, if you don't actually sell the contract by the expiration date, you will take physical delivery of your silver. So a lot of people that are actually buying futures, they do not want to take physical delivery because this could be a considerable amount of silver, and so they end up selling the contract before the expiration date. So that's typically what happens. Now, I'll just say, if you don't have a lot of experience day trading, I mean, I'm not a day trader by any means. If you've never bought options contracts before, definitely stay away from this because, like I said, it can be high reward, but it also can be very high risk. You could potentially lose a lot of money doing this. So if you're not already well versed in this art, so to speak, it's definitely not for beginners. Now, one funny story about futures before we get into the other ways to invest in silver. If you remember back in the 80s, we saw the price of silver go up to like $50 an ounce, which if you adjust for inflation, that would be basically well over triple-digit silver today. I mean, depending on how you calculate it, you could be looking at like $200 to $600 an ounce for silver, right? Now, the reason that the price of silver went up so high was actually because the Hunt brothers were buying massive amounts of futures contracts, and they weren't selling the contracts. They were actually taking physical delivery of the silver. So we're buying an incredible amount of silver, which brought a lot of speculation, right? People were saying, why are the Hunt brothers, and these were billionaires, their dad was in oil, why are they buying so much silver? And so all of this demand actually drove up the spot price of silver, and then it crashed. So if you look at charts and you see silver at $50 an ounce back in the 80s, that's basically what happened. So anyway, back to the video. When it comes to buying futures and options, definitely do so at your own risk and do a lot of research before you decide to get into that. Okay, this brings us to the third way to invest in silver, and this is ETFs. Now, these are exchange traded funds. This is essentially a paper product for silver. So the biggest ETF is SLV, or the iShares Silver Trust. Now, you can buy ETFs the same way you would buy futures or options contracts. You're going to have to go through a broker. So something like TD Ameritrade, you could actually go ahead and buy ETFs that way. So when it comes to SLV, essentially the way it works is there is a company, and in this case it's JP Morgan, Chase Bank, and they have a massive stockpile of silver, or at least they say they do, right? And if the spot price of silver goes up, then the SLV ETF will actually go up as well. So it kind of follows the spot price of silver. Now, if you buy just one share of SLV, and right now as I'm filming the video, it's $24.70 for one share, then when the spot price of silver goes up, and essentially the value of this massive stockpile of silver goes up, then your share will go up in value. Now, if the spot price of silver goes down, your share will go down in value. That's generally how it works. Now, when it comes to SLV, you can actually never take physical delivery of the silver. So you're just buying a paper product. The only way you could ever take delivery is if you had 50,000 shares. And with the price of $24.70 right now, you'd be looking at over $1.2 million to actually request delivery of the silver. So most of us who are investing in silver, we're never going to have that many shares. And so if you buy SLV, you're really not buying physical silver. You're just buying a tiny slice of a big stockpile of silver that someone else has, and you're sort of hoping the price will go up so you can make money. Now, one interesting thing about ETFs is the way that the taxes work. So capital gains tax actually does apply to the ETFs, and you'll be taxed at a higher rate than if you bought, for instance, Nike stock. So if you bought Nike and you also bought some SLV, and let's say you made $100 off each, you'll be taxed heavier on the SLV. It's somewhere around like 28-30%. I'm not exactly sure, but I do know that it is higher, and it also has to do with like your tax bracket, and there's a lot of other things that go into it, and probably what country you live in. Obviously, I live in the United States of America, but in general, that is the case, so it's something you should be aware of. Now, I actually have bought SLV in the past. I bought it back in March for $13.27, and now it's up to $24.70. So I actually have made a little bit on my SLV. I could sell it if I like, or I could just hold on to it. But I know that it's not physical silver. It's just a paper silver product, so to speak. So sort of buy at your own risk, and just know you're probably never going to get physical silver out of it. All right, so let's get to the number 2 way to invest in silver, and that is buying silver miners. So you're buying the stocks or shares in a silver mining company. So these are just companies that are actually mining the silver out of the ground. And the whole idea is if the price of silver or the spot price actually goes up, then hopefully the shares that you bought in these companies will go up faster than the spot price of silver. Now, like the other stuff I mentioned, you'd need a broker to buy these shares, and it's just a paper product, right? There's no way you could ever get physical silver out of this transaction. But I actually have interviewed at least one CEO now so far on my channel, and that was Keith Neumeyer, CEO of First Majestic Silver, or AG, and it was very interesting hearing his opinion on buying silver miners. Basically, he said that they are a little bit riskier than buying just physical silver because you're buying a stock. And so you should definitely know that going into it. However, there is definitely some potential gains that you could make beyond just buying physical silver. Because if you look at, for instance, let's say the spot price of silver goes up $10. Well, the profit margins for these miners goes up a considerable amount. So the stock price could go up much faster than the actual price of silver. Now, this isn't always the case, but it is a possibility. So obviously invest at your own risk, but this is something that a lot of people do when they want to invest in silver. They buy the miners. So some of the other ones, IPOAF, MAG, FSM, PAAS, that's Pan American Silver Corp. There's a whole bunch of miners you could look at. Definitely do your research before just buying a whole bunch of shares randomly. But it is definitely an option for investing in silver, and it is very popular at that. Okay, so let's get to the number 1 way to invest in silver, and that is, of course, buying physical bullion. All right, that's what I got here in the background. So yeah, like this stuff right here, this would be a generic silver round. This is a 1 ounce buffalo. We also got American Silver Eagles. These are very popular. So we have silver coins, we got silver bars. You have the 1 ounce variety here. So some 1 ounce silver bars. You got 10-ounce silver bars. Of course, there's lots of different types of physical silver products you could buy. I've made tons of videos on this, but the good thing about buying physical silver is that you actually have it in your possession. So the saying goes, if you hold it, then you know you own it, right? And so the only way you could actually know that you have the silver you've invested in is to buy physical. This is the safest way to invest in silver. It's obviously the most popular. Now, if you're wondering where to go to buy physical silver, it's really easy. The two places I recommend are, one would be a local coin shop. You just walk in, you bring cash, and you walk out with silver. It's as easy as that. The other place would be to buy online. There's lots of different online bullion dealers. My favorite is SD Bullion. They are the third largest bullion dealer in America. Very trusted, very reputable. They have great sales as well, so definitely check them out. I'll have a link down below in the description for SD Bullion if you want to go to their website and look at their prices and compare them to other websites. I highly recommend doing that so you can find the best price and make sure you're paying the lowest amount for your physical silver. So those were the top 4 ways to invest in silver. Now, as I promised at the start of this video, I'm going to talk about buying paper versus buying physical, because this is one thing that a lot of people sort of don't understand, and it's very, very important. So when you buy physical silver, you have to obviously take delivery. You have to store it somewhere. So it's great that you can hold it, you know, hey, I own this silver. I can literally hold it in my hand. It's an awesome thing. With all of the other products that I talked about, those would be considered paper silver products, right? So futures, ETFs, mining shares. And with all of these things, they are essentially a number on a computer screen, right? So yes, you have invested in silver. Yes, you can make a lot of money off of them, but they're going to be riskier than buying physical silver. I definitely recommend buying bullion. It's the safest way to go. Now, obviously, this is not for everyone. And if you don't want to have physical silver at your house or in a safe somewhere, obviously there's like vaulting options and things like that. But the best option, in my opinion, when you buy silver is to actually take delivery and have it. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. You could just buy, the SLV ETF, for example, and you're following the spot price of silver. So if you think that silver has lots of potential, there are many options to invest in, but you should be aware of what you're actually doing. So if there ever was a major like currency collapse, or, people talk about SHTF, right? Like end of the world scenarios. The best thing to do would be to have physical silver. There's all sorts of possibilities, right? People talk about like an EMP going off, or, the government hitting the internet kill switch or whatever. And then all the numbers on the computer screen just are basically zero, right? Now, I know these are somewhat crazy scenarios, but obviously anything's possible. So I think that you should diversify your investments. And if you're investing into silver, you should diversify within your silver investments. So I am most heavily into silver bullion. The vast majority of the investment, so to speak, that I put into silver is in physical silver. I do have a little bit of SLV, but really that's it for me. And I guess I have dabbled in the miners as well. Okay, I'll mention that. So, but I haven't bought any silver futures contracts. I haven't done any options trading. That's just way too risky for me. And so I'm sticking to what I know. I think that the best thing you can do would be to do more research. Learn more about the different options, right? Futures, ETFs, miners, bullion. Do as much research as you can and figure out what's best for you and have a plan moving forward. But I just want to make it abundantly clear that the safest way to invest in silver is absolutely buying bullion. So earlier in the video, I mentioned that I did an interview with Keith Neumeyer, the CEO of First Majestic Silver. It's actually a great interview. We talk about the price of silver. We talk about potential for the future. And we do talk about miners specifically. So if you missed that interview, I'll put a link up in the corner as well as a link down below in the description. Definitely check that one out for yourself. And the last thing I want to say as we wrap up the top 4 ways to invest in silver. Did I miss anything? Is there other ways you could be investing in silver? I think I pretty much covered all of the bases. There might be some other little niche ways that you could invest, so feel free to comment down below what those might be. And also, how are you investing in silver? Are you mostly buying bullion like myself, or are you sticking with the paper silver products? I would love to know what your strategy is and what you think of the different ways to invest in silver. So again, please leave a comment down below, and also don't forget to smash that thumbs up if you learned anything. Whoa, I'm getting a little crazy with the silver here. Or if you just enjoyed the video. I do appreciate the thumbs ups, and they do help with the YouTube algorithm. All right, so that's all I have for today. I will see you all in my next video. Silver Dragons out.